What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 2 of the Optimum Potential Podcast.
Today we're going to be talking about ways we keep each other accountable. We're actually going to talk about Travis's experiences with physical therapy and training and the difference between in-network and out-of-network physical therapy.
Hope you enjoy. Cue the lightning.
Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Matt Paul.
And I'm not Chris Shaw. This is Travis Sertan stepping in for Chris while he's out sick.
So we're going to start off with going over some of our short-term goals for the week, what we've been working on, just to keep ourselves accountable. So what's been going on this past week for you?
I did not hit my goals this week. Legit, just I had it in my head that I was going to get 4 good, solid workouts in. As you know, I'm still recovering kind of from my 2 hip surgeries from last year. Just for further background, I had 2 hip surgeries. What was it? FAI, which is like they shaved the bone down in my hips, and they cleaned up the cartilage that was damaged from that because there was a lot of grinding and rubbing. And both my labrums tore.
So came to me for physical therapy, and now we're doing a podcast together. So it's funny how things kind of evolve. So what's been going on with any symptoms in the hip, or how have the workouts been? You said it was a little off this week.
So going back to, I guess, the goals that I set, this is our accountability section here, right? So Matt checks in with me often to see, hey, did you get your workouts in, or did you do your physical therapy for the week? Did I do my physical therapy for this week? Yeah, for the most part. That was not the problem. The actual problem was getting into the gym. Like I said to myself, I was going to go to the gym 4 days this week, and did I? No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now because work kind of got in the way, or?
Work got in the way. My stomach got in the way. Just schedule. Honestly, being an adult sucks.
Not easy. I actually had a similar week, I'd say, where it was on Monday, I was doing a leg day. It was supposed to be a leg day at least. And I think 2 sets in, I felt like a minor pull in my quad. I probably didn't warm up enough. I was a little dehydrated, so I'm sure those all factored in. So had to call an audible real quick and end up doing an upper body day. But this whole week was kind of catching up and doing a lot of mobility work and went to hot yoga and just kind of, monitoring the symptoms throughout the week, so that yesterday I was finally able to get back in and do a leg day. So started off a little bit weak in the week and got a little stronger as I went. But definitely, it kind of shows you this. You kind of got to go with the flow sometimes and listen to your body.
So did your goals get screwed up for the week, or do you think you just got sidetracked?
Yeah, I think I got a little sidetracked. Okay. Yeah. So it's, I think it's important to monitor those symptoms too. Like a lot of times I'll have some clients come in and, they'll injure themselves, or they have a day like I had where they pushed it a little bit, or they didn't feel quite right, and they kind of just kept pushing through those symptoms, and it escalated more and more. So now it helps having that PT background where I kind of took a step back. But I see you laughing. What do you think?
I feel attacked. So for background, definitely did a lot of powerlifting throughout my life. Definitely big on Muay Thai, big on kickboxing, was in karate forever. So I don't believe in days off. Okay. And I do now. Yeah. I do now. I did not believe in days off. I do now. After working with you, I really had to understand the concept of what setting that small goal was. So it's funny that you're saying all this, because I used to think pain was part of that process. I used to think to myself, all right, today's gonna be another squat day where I'm gonna put 400 on my back and I'm gonna walk away with just pain. I don't want that anymore, especially at this age.
Yeah, it's funny how, the route you go in the training world can really dictate the mindset that people have, or how you go about the workouts. And I've been there too in the past when I was younger, where you kind of push the limits a little bit. And you don't feel great leaving the gym. And I think it's now I'm at the point now where if I'm not leaving feeling good, I'm like, all right, I got to change something up, because it kind of carries over into my everyday life, and then that factors in too. But so
consider that.
Yeah, I like to use the analogy of a traffic light. A green light is, all right, you're pain free. There's no symptoms. You're feeling good. I think that's when you do push the limits and kind of go hard in the gym. Those yellow lights is kind of what we've been feeling lately, where it's I pulled that quad muscle earlier in the week, and it felt bad that day, got a little better the next day, but it kind of comes back here and there. And then red light is, all right, you have an injury. It's preventing you from doing the things you want to do. And like you really are hindered in certain movements or activities. So I think a lot of people, they wait for that red light to go to physical therapy.
Or they live in Long Island and right means you can, red light means you can turn right on reds, which is what I used to do.
Yeah. But if people like listen to their body when they're at those yellow lights, I think that's when you can kind of nip those symptoms in the bud and set yourself up for success in the long haul. But it's tough. You got to really listen to your body.
Yeah, I didn't do that.
Yeah.
This is why we are here, right?
Yeah.
Just also, let's add some more background to this. I'm 37. I do not feel like a young 37 after 2 hip surgeries. I am a little bit more athletic than most of the people my age, though. I'll tell you that.
Absolutely.
I don't exactly feel like I ever listened to the yellow lights. Mm-hmm. The yellow lights for me just meant, all right, well, you're going to have your 1 hour here in the gym. Damn, there's that hip, it's flared up. All right, well, you got 23 more hours in your day to feel the wrath of whatever you just did. I hate that. I'm so mad that I did not listen to myself and heed those yellow light warnings and take my time to recover or just take a break. There was no reason for me to push that. And I think a lot of lifters now don't get that. Like, pain is not okay. Like, no pain, no gain. I'm sorry, no.
Yeah.
No effort, no gain.
Yeah.
But pain does not mean gain.
Yeah, absolutely. And what kind of pain too? Because muscle burn, you know the difference between actual pain, like joint pain. Well, to an extent you do.
Now I do. Yeah, I do.
Versus like a muscle burn where you're pushing the limits of like what you're lifting, but it's just a muscle burn and it goes away after the set, or something like along the lines of that. So I think knowing the difference between what's good pain and bad pain, sometimes it starts there, just like knowing your body and being able to make that, just be aware of those differences.
If you're out there and you spent quite a time, you're kind of young or you're new into lifting and it's been a while since you've taken some time off, take some time off. See your joints feel a little better. Like, learn the difference between what it means to be like exhausted, your joints inflamed, and then to actually have your muscles be the thing that are working. Because it took me maybe 5-6 years before I actually said, I'm taking time off. I'm not going to lift. And it took almost 1.5 years off of lifting altogether. Mm-hmm. I spent more time with my dogs, walking. And that's when I realized, oh, my hips were never supposed to feel like that.
But yeah, when it's all and you're so used to it for years and years, it's tough. I think, like I said, getting away and like maybe you do yoga for a few sessions, or you do something different than what you've been doing. If you do have a powerlifting background or it's CrossFit or whatever it might be, it's okay to do those things. But I think that mobility work or getting away and doing some cross training, something that it's stressing the body differently, I think that can play a great role in assessing those symptoms and monitoring them and keeping things at bay, so you can stay healthy for the long haul.
Yeah. Forget a few sessions. Take a month off. If all you've been doing is one sport for like 2 years or so, take a month off and do something else and just see how your body feels with that. Because even if it's that yoga, like you said, honestly, I think yoga should be drilled into everybody's routine. But people don't listen to that until they're well into their late 30s. Mm-hmm. Nobody realizes how important that is until they're well above the age they should have been practicing.
Yeah, I was saying, I started doing yoga last year, 2 years, so 30 years old. So 32 now, but now it's like, yoga is a weekly thing that I try to incorporate at least once a week, because mobility's always been my weakness. I always felt good being in the gym, doing strengthening exercises, but mobility has always been an issue. So it's, something that keeps me accountable where I go to the yoga class. It forces me to I'm there for an hour. I'm going to be focused for an hour and get that mobility work in. And then I leave. So it keeps me accountable and on top of what my goals are.
Do you think that adding that, is that part of your goal to do that one yoga session a week?
I try to get at least one. I think if I can quantitatively put that, all right, I'm going to get one session in. I think that's a nice way of just kind of checking that off the list and keeping me accountable. So that's a goal of mine to continue doing, because that's something that it doesn't come natural to me, where I want to do yoga on my own. So going somewhere definitely helps. Yeah. So now, what's been the toughest thing for you in staying consistent with your lifts and your workouts?
Pain management.
Yeah.
Pain management and this new discipline that I've had to develop after working with you specifically. I used to think to myself, I'm going to get injured. Okay, I'm injured today. What's my fastest route away from this injury so that I can get back into lifting? Not like what's my workaround, like not even take some time off, let the injury relax and then go back into it.
Yeah.
I used to just think to myself, all right, I'm going to take a week off, a few days off, or I'm going to smash, with tons of mobility drills, the things that are wrong, and go right back into it within the week, go right back into lifting. That's no longer the case. So now it's just about pain management. Like, for example, earlier this week, my right hip was kind of feeling a little tweaked.
Okay.
And if anybody here knows what a labrum tear is, or a lot of people have labrum tears in the shoulders, right? And they can be minor, they can be major. For my hips, they were major. So imagine that instability in your shoulder, what that might have felt to the hip. For me, I'm actually overly flexible. I'm overly mobile, which causes problems when I lift heavy, where my body kind of just seems to go loose instead of staying tight, which is weird just because of my excessive amounts of mobility. So now it's just pain management for me.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't go to the gym 3 times a week and I just stay home and I do like Bulgarian split squats to a modified depth.
Yeah.
Which it kills me to know that I can't go into the gym that day and stack weight and get my squat in, or stack dumbbells and get my lunges in. Because in my head, I'm not doing anything if all I'm doing is no weight, partial movement, Bulgarian split squats. Since I've been working with you last year to now, I have to get it through my head. Less is more sometimes. And I'm going to say this, as I'm getting older, I also do see less is more.
A lot of it's, work smarter, not harder. Obviously you push limits when you can, but you definitely got to work smarter sometimes.
I think social media screwed up my mentality. But no, I know social media screwed up my mentality with that. I was not strong enough to fight the urge to follow a crowd.
Okay.
Like, you go on social media and you follow a bunch of fitness influencers. They're doing some crazy stuff. Crazy weight, super mobile.
Yeah.
Whether they're on things or not, whatever, they're still doing shit and you want to do it too. Yeah. And you think you're not doing anything unless you're doing that crazy stuff.
It stinks because all the crazy stuff is what sells, unfortunately. And that's what draws people's attention. And more than anybody, it's usually the basic movements. Like if you look at our workouts, they probably look fairly boring, where it's like, it's a squat, it's some kind of push movement, some kind of pull movement. We're not standing on BOSUs with, barbell on our back with our eyes closed, like doing like these crazy things, whatever. And I'm making that up. But those crazy things, what people see, they draw attention and they want to do that. So I always tell people, like, everything you see on Instagram, you got to take with a grain of salt. Like even things that I post, it's more generalized posts. They're not tailored to anybody in particular. So you really need to make sure you're getting that tailored program, or you're really doing your research so that you're doing things that are right for you and your body and your injury, if you have one, and along the lines of that. So that social media plays a huge role in, I think, society.
It killed me. And I used to, I had clients at some point I was training once upon a time in my life.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to have them understand what a real goal actually is, because to them, they want to look like this person on the beach on Instagram. And do you know what that person on the beach on Instagram did to get there? You know how hard most of those people have to work, whether they're on gear or not. That's still work you have to do. They still diet.
There's a lot more behind the scenes than just that quick like band workout that they posted on Instagram.
Oh yeah,
you know,
without a doubt.
Dieting and on top of the workouts they're not showing. You know, there's so much more.
Yeah. You know, I wish that I wish I could, even though I knew it, I wish I could have ingrained it in myself.
Yeah.
You're not them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that. I mean, like, do not follow them. They look great. They made their money. They made their presence.
Mm-hmm.
But you do not see the heartbreak behind the scenes.
Yeah, and how much time it takes to do that, and you know, do they have a family or do they have 4 dogs at home? I mean, like that's a lot in itself, right there.
I'm the guy with dogs.
Yeah. So
I hope to put a title there.
Yeah. So let's talk about a little bit like how is like life outside? I mean, because you still got your job, you have your wife, you have your 4 dogs. There's a lot going on outside of just your own workouts. How does that play a role?
So whereas I used to once upon a time come home from work, take 2 dogs for a quick walk or a long walk, whatever, because it's 2 dogs, it's a nice walk, and then take them home, have a quick snack, and go to the gym. Right now, it's get home, make sure all the dogs are walked and trained because it's 4 now.
That blows my mind. Yeah. I can't even imagine.
It's 4 dogs, so there's some training involved. There's a lot more patience involved, especially since it's like 2 are easygoing and 2 are crackheads. And then check in with the wife. You don't have to be a husband. It's not like, all right, let me just jump to the gym. Like, hey, wife, relationship, are we good? Are we okay? Yeah,
you need those constant check-ins.
Now, by the time I'm done with doing that, it's like 8:30. I gotta wake up mad early. There are a lot of days where I'm not gonna go and work out after that. I'm not gonna go to the gym at least.
Yeah.
I may go to my basement. It's kind of like my sanctum, right? My sanctum. I'll go into the basement and I'll get like pull, push, some legs, some physical therapy, some abs.
Yeah.
Maybe some cardio.
Which is better than nothing, you know, and still being productive.
Yeah, but I'm not but I'm it's weird to me to go through those motions and be like, I didn't pull 5.
I was gonna say, especially when you have your background where like, you were deadlifting how much and squatting how much, crazy amounts.
With an injury. So it's hard. And then you have a wife, you have a kid, and you guys just got a new place. So like you're getting settled. So how is that affecting you?
Yeah, it's the days of working out like at a gym 5 to 6 days a week, that's over. At least for now, unfortunately, like would I love to be able to do that? Yeah. It's just not in the cards right now. So I think it's, finding, all right, what's my schedule going to be? Am I working out 3 days that week? All right, I got to find those 3-hour sessions somewhere where it's stacked in with work. And I'm very lucky that my office is within a gym. So that does allow me to, get a quick workout in if the schedule allows for it. But when I leave the office, I want to just be with my wife and my son. So like, I don't want to take another 2 hours, going to the gym. Plus, I mean, somebody's got to watch Joey. So we got to so it's, that's the main focus right now. It's making sure that, family's good, everybody's healthy. And, and then the workouts take a little bit of a hit. I'm not really pushing what I used to do weight wise or, and that's okay for now. I think when I have more time, I'll utilize it. But you gotta take care of what's important first, and find those times throughout the week.
Yeah, it's a process of adjustment. And what are you gonna? The thing is, like, we have a lot of people who we know. I especially have a lot of people I know that would be like, oh no, like you still gotta set your fitness goals and. You got to make time for things. Yeah. I make time for sleep now.
Yeah. Sleep could be used as currency right now for me.
Look, I make time for sleep. Not saying that 37 is old, but I definitely see a benefit of me getting like a decent workout in once a day and getting a lot more sleep than where it used to be like, all right, get a banging workout, but get 4 hours of sleep. I just don't function.
Yeah, I don't recover. It's funny having like the Whoop now. I see my recovery when I don't get enough sleep or stuff like that. And it's so true. Like that plays such a huge role where you need that rest just as much as you need the workouts.
Was that a Whoop plug? Whoop, sponsor us. Thank you.
Yeah, right. No.
But yeah, I don't know. I have friends who are still kind of like low 30s, and they're just powering away at work. And shout out to Jose. I'm always going to shout out Jose Vidal. One of my good friends, one of my best friends. And I mean, that dude is a monster when it comes to workout ethic. He doesn't need to sleep. He's like a bullet train. Like it's ridiculous. But I can't compete. I can't come. Like if
There's a lot that goes into it. Yeah.
If I do not sleep, my food does not digest well. Like I've hit that spot in my life where if I don't get enough rest, the world falls apart. And I never thought I'd be like that.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way, man. I think that rest and recovery is so important. All right, so let's shift gears a little bit and talk a little bit more about your physical therapy, like your background, like how it was, your experience, throughout that surgery and up until now.
I lived at a physical therapist's office. I was always injuring myself, and I think that had to do with the fact that I was always ultra mobile, which we already went over. Like I was flexible. I was doing I was living in splits and just back bridges and just being super flexible and just doing martial arts when I was growing up.
Yeah.
Then I hit 18 and I was like, I need to gain some weight, so I'm over there lifting all the weight in the world, and I rushed that whole process.
Okay.
Like I did what most people do. I start benching. Your first goal in your bench is to hit that one plate. When you're a little skinny kid, I was a skinny kid.
Everybody lives for chest day when they're younger.
Yeah.
I'm guilty of that.
So I'm over there doing my chest day. I'm rushing to 225. And I got my 225 bench within the first 4 or 5 months of me lifting weights. But was it a good bench? Hell no. I screwed up my shoulder. So I have been, ever since I was 18, and I'm 37 now, I have just seen so many physical therapists. Every time that I used to go to physical therapy, I guess my only gripe with it just didn't feel very personalized. I felt like there was, when I was younger, so let's go back 15 to 20 years. There's a lot of cookie cutter approaches to how to treat injuries, right?
Yeah.
They start you with heat and stim, manual manipulation. Then let's say we're talking about shoulder, right? Now we're talking about a lot of rotations.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me I got to pay you $50 in a copay every time I come to your office for you to just do the same exercises? Now you could just find on YouTube.
Yeah.
Technically, it wasn't supposed to be like that, right? You go to physical therapists and they're supposed to fine tune everything for you.
Yeah, it should be really tailored to your body and what you're feeling.
Which is very difficult to do when you're seeing 5 patients or more at a time.
Yeah.
It's tough to do that, and I get that. You see 5 patients because you have some money to make by seeing multiple people in an hour, but it's kind of like group fitness. Where's that uniqueness? Where's that customization? Where's the person who, there's that one person who in your group fitness class who is squatting amazingly, and there's that one person who has no idea what they're doing, but they're moving at the same pace, and you're like, you're not moving well. You are. Should we do something about this one person who's not exactly squatting well? So that cookie cutter approach for me, I feel like never worked. So I constantly just stopped going to physical therapy.
Yeah.
I think you guys talked about this on the last episode where things aren't working, so you stop.
Yeah. I mean, because you're not seeing the results you want and it gets discouraging. I mean, I've been there too, where it's just, you don't see the results and you're like, why am I doing this?
So I push through.
Yeah.
I push through all the pain and I just keep moving. Fast forward a little bit. I think it was about 7 to 10 years ago, somewhere around there, where it's the labrums that gave out my hips, which was brand new. Like my lower half was always the powerhouse of me.
Yeah.
And whatever happened, my hips gave out. And I'm like, what the F is going on? And that's when I started seeing a difference in physical therapy. Even like some of the cookie cutter approach physical therapists that I went to, they started changing modalities, and I saw them now focused on bracing and core strength and stability and trunk. And they're just like, this is where it's all coming from. But even to that extent, a lot of these guys were just kind of like, they worked on the core stability, but they were ignoring the fact that I was like, I think there's more going on. I'm well in touch with my body, and sometimes, and some of you are, some of you aren't. if you're really in touch with your body, you could kind of say to yourself, I don't think core stability is my issue. Like everybody could use core stability, but like coming from my background with my deadlifting, my squatting, my benching, my and I was big into martial arts, so I was constantly throwing kicks, and I was constantly working. My abs were always worked.
Yeah, I mean, if you're deadlifting 500 pounds, like your core better be strong, right? So you figure that's a core workout in itself. So yeah, especially with your background, yeah, we're almost less inclined to think that the core is the issue.
Right.
And I think, like you said, that's when it's diving a little bit more into the patient's background and knowing, all right, this is what you've done in the past. You know, that kind of dictates where we go with your program as well, right?
Nobody seems to understand that from a physical therapist standpoint, because well, first of all, a physical therapist got to get to know you. When you walk into their office, you're a patient, and they don't know they don't know anything. So your first couple of sessions are pretty boring, right? Like they're just kind of warming you up into what they have planned for later. But even at that, we found out, like, and no offense to any of the people I worked with before, but I don't think anybody listened to me when I said, hey, listen, I had a really bad ankle sprain several years before my hips gave out. And then I come to you and I finally point out the fact that, like, look, check out this ankle. And we did a deep dive into like my ankle that could have been the highlight of why my hips gave out. I mean, I lacked flexion in that right ankle because of that sprain. And since then, Matt changed gears on me, and he said, all right, core stability seems to be good. Let's start working on a little bit more of the stability of the hip and the ankle and get more flexion in the ankle. Ever since we started working on that, that's when my fitness, my physical health felt way better. Yeah. Like I started to feel a lot less pain, and movement felt so much better.
Yeah, it's because I know you were complaining about that back pain that was like on the one side, right? So
don't forget the annular tear. I have an annular tear.
Yeah, so there's a few things going on. Yeah. So now, you know, if you only have 5 minutes with a patient to look into what's going on, you're probably not even thinking about the ankle. And I don't want to rip on PTs that work in a bigger setting, because I used to do that as well. And unfortunately, that's the nature of the beast, where you just don't have the time to go more in depth, which is kind of what led me into doing my own business, so I could do more one-on-one. But like that allowed me time to not only look at the back and the hip, but we looked at the knee and the ankle, like you mentioned. And yeah, found out that because you were lacking maybe some of that ankle dorsiflexion, or how much you can point your toe up towards you, you know, that was causing the knee to buckle in, which is causing, you know, that internal rotation at the hip, which was then causing a little bit of a side bend in your torso. And then I think that's why you were experiencing some of that back pain. But
on top of that, like my annular tear was with it. So did the annular tear happen first? Probably not. I think the ankle instability, followed by like heavier and heavier and heavier weights with a pre-existing untreated injury, definitely blew the back, blew the hips, right? Because everybody wants to blame that one body part that broke. It is not that one body part that broke ever.
Yeah, you gotta look at the whole kinetic chain, especially when you're doing those functional movements, squats and deadlifts, where the whole body's working together. You know, everything plays a role. And I think that's what we found. It was nice to kind of see things kind of fall into place once we addressed like the true root cause.
So this has been the first 2 weeks back at me hitting a bag since, I don't know, maybe 3 years. Like, because every time I was hitting the bag before, all the rotation would just hurt.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's finding that root cause with Matt is life-changing for me.
Yeah.
So Matt, you are not an in-network physical therapist. Like, you're not an in-network provider for most insurances. You're out of network.
Out of network, yeah.
Why is it that you're out of network, or how does that change things? What does that mean? Because I think a lot of people don't get why you would go and pay out of pocket for physical therapy.
Yeah, that's a good question. It's people really don't know what their insurance dictates too. Like, so in network, basically meaning that the insurance company has like a contract with the company or the PT, where there's a certain rate that they're given. It's usually a lower reimbursement rate. That's why a lot of companies that are in network need to see 5 or 6 patients an hour because you're getting paid less per visit. So it's not even the PT's fault or really the company's fault. It's the insurance company that's kind of dictating that.
So no matter how much you would have charged, the insurance company still just gives you back just whatever set upon contract dollars.
So yeah, you have like your codes that you send out, and based off that, like you'll get reimbursed a certain amount. It might be $35. It depends on the insurance company and that person's plan. So then out of network, it's been nice going that route because I don't need to worry about the insurance company saying how many visits a patient has, which always blew my mind because it's some guy in a cubicle saying like, all right, the average says that you should be able to get this injury resolved in 7 visits. So,
oh no, there's an actual.
I think there's averages, or it's kind of based off that. Where I'd have an ACL patient that I'd see them for. We knew we had like 20 to 25 visits to use. So you got to utilize that properly. Where this is a full year thing to get back to where you want to be, but. We'd only see them for maybe 3 to 4 months, if we were lucky. So now you need to discharge the patient.
Time out. Sorry, guys. He's not going to stop talking. I'm actually not cutting this out. This is very cute. I'm just leave this like this. I just can't. I don't know if it's wrong.
Appreciate that.
That's probably really annoying your throat though, right? You get it.
So for instance, if you are coming for your ACL, we know we typically had like 20 to 25 visits total. So now you need to space that out appropriately so that you can still make the progress you need to. And we'd find that you only get really 3 to 4 months with the patient, and then you have to discharge them and just hope that they continue doing things on their own. So, which, you figure an ACL, it's going to take at least, 9 months until you start feeling pretty good strength-wise, or what you were prior to the surgery, let's say. I always kind of lean towards more a year plus. So you're hoping that they're doing things on their own. At least with out-of-network, I don't need to worry about that. It's just me and the patient. We dictate ourselves how much time they need to get better. If you're feeling good after 6 visits, then you're good. If you need more, then you get more. So it's been nice to not have to worry about insurance companies dictating the plan of care for my patients.
So one of the things I liked was it's a spacing of things too.
Yeah.
So when we first started, I was seeing you once or twice a week.
Mm-hmm.
As I started doing more on my own and I started feeling a little bit more recovered, we spaced that out. I started seeing you every other week.
Yeah.
And then now we're at the point where we're kind of just doing touch-ups.
Like check-ins here.
Yeah, if I feel like something's a little off with some of the soft tissue, today. Today I definitely feel like it. Maybe I'll see you later today. We'll do this or this week. Either way, it's a little bit more personalized in that sense. And I don't feel like I'm wasting a lot of time or money.
Yeah.
I did feel a little constricted to the physical therapy when I was in network. Because it's all right, you got to see him 2 or 3 times a week. Or the insurance company pretty much says that you did not do was it your diligence or how did they declare it?
Yeah, I mean, you got to prove, that's what the whole notes come in where you need to prove to the insurance companies that PT is working so that the patient can continue. But you also can't show that they're progressing too much because then they don't need PT anymore. So it was this ridiculous game that you had to play just so that a patient could continue to work on things that they wanted to work on. To get to the 2 to 3 visits, kind of that traditional PT where it's you got to go 2 or 3 times a week.
It's a lot of time if it's not nearby.
Yeah, I don't know about you. I don't have time to go 3 times a week to PTs.
And then PTs don't like to open in the evening. They don't like opening late into the evening. I have a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
How is I supposed to work around someone's schedule when they also have basically all right, a 9 to 5, 9 to 6, 9 to 7?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No way.
No. So, and I found that at least with the out-of-network, I only see people once a week, which is great because I see them for the full 60 minutes versus seeing them, maybe 5 to 10 minutes of that 2 to 3 sessions a week. So I still see somebody more than I was seeing them when I was seeing 30 patients in a 7-hour shift. It was crazy. So because of that, we can do more, we can focus on more, and you don't need to come 3 days a week. So it's easier on the patient. We update the home exercise programs every week because my caseload isn't crazy.
That was major. So one of the big things for me when I was working with Matt was forget about just sending you home with homework, right? If I saw him once a week, he sent me home with homework, but it wasn't like this generic sheet of things. And forget about the 60 minutes. I mean, I've spent 90 minutes with you for one session just because you had the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that was super valuable.
Mm-hmm.
But after Matt walked me through several exercises to do on my own, he sent me home with a link to a website that had all the workouts that I was supposed to follow up with, and reps, the whole routine, which became kind of my starting point for exercising again. I never got that anywhere else. I got generic printouts in the past.
With like all the basic, like very easy exercises.
Things that I don't need somebody to tell me to do. Then that's the wild part. If you are even remotely athletic and you care about your mobility, you are doing basic physical therapy prehab before you do most of your workouts. Mm-hmm. So for me to go to a physical therapist to get insurance coverage and pay for that, like, for things I already do, right?
Yeah, why are you going there to begin with?
Like, what are you fine-tuning my rotator cuff warm-up?
Yeah.
That's what it really feels like a lot of time. I don't need to do clamshells for $50, and I say $50 an hour because that's what you pay. That's what my copay was. But I don't need to pay somebody $50 for me to go and lay in a cushy couch, like cushy bed to do clamshells. I can do that from my house, and I never needed to walk into a facility to do that. And most of us out here, especially y'all who are guilty to buy all these bands, you're doing it already. Yeah. Like, I don't feel like that was remotely helpful. What was helpful is when we put the bands on. You're cold. He's over here shivering because we really didn't have the heat on.
Yeah.
What I did appreciate was that I did put the bands on with Matt, but the way Matt had me approach some of my hip stability exercises was 100% unique. Like, we played with different angles and different ways to do certain things. And it wasn't like, okay, in most physical therapy places, you put it on, you do it one way. Mm-hmm. How do we know if it's working? We don't. We just hope it is. With Matt, it's like, all right, well, you're not feeling this. Let's move the foot slightly here. That was a game changer for me.
Yeah.
And it became a very unique set of how I approached my warm-ups and my weekly prehab stuff.
Yeah. I think when you have that one-on-one, it allows at that time to focus on those details. Sometimes when you're in that bigger setting where they're seeing 5-6 patients, I mean, I would be doing the hands-on work with a patient for 5-10 minutes while, an aide or somebody part-time was going through the exercises with my patients. So, you're hoping that the patient is progressing weight-wise, that the part-time aide cares enough to watch their form and make sure they're doing it right, which, unfortunately, more times than not, that's not the case. So, it comes down to, if you're investing in your health, you want to make sure that you're investing it properly and you're seeing that progress.
The fact that you don't have so many clients to work with at one time or patients to work at the one time, it made it, and I saw it, like, every time I talked to you, it's not like you forgot what I should be doing.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't like I had to remind you. I think that was one of the things I used to hate about physical therapy. It's like, all right, let me check the notes, because you've seen so many patients. Yeah. You forget who has what. And you forget what you tell them to do.
Yeah, I would forget who my patients were sometimes. Like, if I was seeing 30 people in a 7-hour shift, there'd be times where, like, I had a patient walk by me and I didn't recognize them. Like, that's when I knew, like, I can't do this for the long haul, that this isn't going to work. Now, it's like a busy day for me now is if I see 5 or 6 people, and that's each one getting an hour session by themselves. That's a busy day. So it's like, it's been refreshing to go this route and love physical therapy again, because I was getting burnt out in that in-network scheme. So it's so true though. It's just being more on one. I still do notes and keep track of that, but it's just for me and my patient. It's not to prove to an insurance company that doesn't know you that you deserve more PT. So it's a lot easier to keep track of patients, and because of that, we can progress nicely each week.
Yeah, that used to drive me wild to think to myself, I don't feel better in 12 sessions. Now I got to go ask somebody to say, hey, can I have another 12 sessions? Look, I injured myself.
Yeah.
Take care of me. But to be honest with you, I barely got to 12 sessions. Because it didn't feel like it was working. So I just dropped it and just tried to figure it out on my own. With that said, it's definitely something to really remember for anybody looking for a physical therapist. Don't be afraid to use somebody who is out of network, because that personalization, it's kind of like getting a doctor for a personal trainer in a way, as long as they know what they're doing and they listen to how you feel. So if you are looking for a physical therapist, you are looking for someone out of network, take a look at reviews. Google, right? That's
Google.
Usually where a lot of reviews
and find out what your insurance plan covers too. A lot of people actually have out-of-network benefits where like you can get a super bill, like you mentioned, and sometimes more times than not, 50 to 80% of the bill that I give somebody gets covered by insurance. So you might have out-of-network benefits that you can utilize and not even know it. So
the insurance company will reimburse for some of my out-of-pocket expenses?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
So it's there's something that more people don't know what's going on with their insurance and what it covers. Do you have a deductible? You might have like a $5,000 deductible that you got to hit regardless of in-network versus out-of-network before insurance even kicks in and pays for anything. So if you're paying that $5,000 no matter what, you might as well get the care that you deserve. So I think it's things that people need to look into a little bit more.
With that said, I think if anybody is looking for some maybe remote, you're still doing remote, right?
Yeah.
If you're looking for any kind of remote prehab or rehab, Matt does offer his services. You can check him out at, what is it?
Dr.matt.barl. So we'll have that in the description below.
Yeah, that's his Instagram. He also gives a lot of good free content which most people subscribe to you for. I think 83,000 followers now on
Something
Instagram?
like that.
Jeez.
But yeah, it's just trying to provide more value to people. And let us know if you have any questions or anything in particular PT wise or training wise. Let us know in the comments below or shoot us a message.